A lot to get to, and I thought overall, this was a good game for us. There was a lot to pick apart in the 60 minutes of football. I don't know if it was all well played. It definitely wasn't well played, and unfortunately the refs did get involved, but there's a lot to pick apart. So where would you start? Ted, what's your lead take on this?
Well, look, I mean, it was just like you said, it was a compelling game. It really, really was. And I thought at the end of the day, I didn't think both teams played particularly well, but was it a great game at the end? Of course it was. I think at the end of the day, you can look at what a lot of people predicted would be the problem for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was the offensive line, and that was protection. That's ultimately what I think did them in. I mean, 7 sacks, 6 of them in the second half. Aaron Donald was just a wrecking ball. And then also, if you want to really kind of look down at just the situational part of the game, the Rams were 3 for 3 in the red zone. The Cincinnati Bengals were 1 for 3. So if you want to say where was it lost, it was also lost in the red zone as well.
Greg?
I mean, for me, if you looked at the stats of this game, field position, the Rams had great field position almost the entire game. Everything. They ran the Bengals ran the ball well. The Rams were able to pass the ball a little bit better. To me, I thought what Ted alluded to about the pass rush. I mean, I know you don't like to talk about offensive line play. You know I do. And to me, I always look for the team with the better offensive line. The Rams don't have a great offensive line, but Joe Burrow was under pressure over 40% of the time, 7 sacks in the game. I'm sorry, but if that happens, your chances of winning the game are not very good.
I never said it wasn't important.
Yeah,
no.
Plenty of time. Do it on your own time.
Right. Do guard talk on your own time.
Yeah, like Super Bowls.
Unless it's a Super Bowl and it costs you the game. All right. Let's go to the final drive there for the LA Rams that won in the game, and they had done very little in the second half. I thought, the biggest second guess I might have of McVay is the way they came out in the second half. They were not ready to go. Touchdown on the Bengals' first play and then interception on the Rams' first play. But in this fourth quarter drive, they put it together. That was a huge play, the jet sweep to Cooper Kupp on 4th and 1 to really get the thing going. That was a 3rd and 2 pickup to that backup tight end. And so, give Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay credit here. They drove the ball down the field, Teddy, and won the game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, gutsy. 15 plays, 80 yards. I mean, they bled the clock. It was a great drive. I mean, Cooper Kupp is a beast. I love that guy. I mean, he's so tough. He's tough as nails. He reminds me of kind of Julian Edelman. He just plays on the outside. Just a phenomenal. I think he's first-team All-Pro. Unbelievable. Eli Apple, not the best cornerback right there, so it was a good little matchup. So I thought Matthew Stafford kind of, he came through at the end. It was not the best game, I think, for Matthew Stafford up to that point, but that last drive was obviously a game-winning drive, and that'll bode well for him and his legacy going forward.
There were certainly things to pick apart on both sides, but for me, with the Bengals in the second half, how they played defense, I mean, look, Ted, you've been in these championship games before. Do you think Bill Belichick is once Odell Beckham Jr. goes out of the game and basically Matthew Stafford can't throw to anybody else on the team?
Yeah.
Do you think on the final drive Bill Belichick is letting you guys get beat by Cooper Kupp repeatedly and to score both wide open on one of the touchdowns? I mean, I just don't understand how the Bengals, once that happened, they did make adjustments, but the final drive, put 2 guys on them, take them out of the game, make Stafford beat you with somebody else.
Well, let's just look at Cooper Kupp's career in the postseason. I mean, this is pretty, self-evident. You make the opponent beat you left-handed, and once Odell Beckham went out, they had only one hand, and they still let him get away with it. And again, Cooper Kupp, this is nothing new for him in the playoffs. He produced every single game, including the one that mattered most. How would Belichick have defended this player, Ted?
Oh, you would have damned him at the line of scrimmage. You would have had a safety over the top the whole time. Or you would have bracketed him. You would have had always one guy playing outside leverage, one guy playing inside leverage. You would have made it so obvious to the world that you were double teaming Cooper Kupp, particularly in key situations, whether it be third down, red zone, but particularly, like Greg said, on the final drive, you know who you have to go to, and so you would have had that wiped out in the Cincinnati Bengals. That's where I go, Zac Taylor. Okay, look, that's where I question whether or not he's a good coach, because they didn't make adjustments with their offensive line in the second half, and they didn't have Cooper Kupp covered like they should have on that final drive.
All right, so on the final drive, the officials became a factor in this game. Look, you could say they became a factor the first play of the third quarter when they didn't call the swipe on Higgins. I just think that was a miss. If the ref had seen that, I think he's got to throw the flag on that. It was just quick. It was bang, bang. He didn't see it. You can't replay it. So I think that's just a miss. I think what they did all game was let the guys play and let all sorts of contact and grabbing and all that stuff go as you usually get in the Super Bowl. Then you get this play. 3rd and goal. It's in the high goal to go, if you will. It's not the 7-yard line. I'm not sure exactly what yard line it was at, about the 7 or 8 yard line. And the Rams were stalling here. and meaning stalled. Their drive was stalled. And I'm sorry, this is the kind of contact that was going on the entire game. They decide to throw the flag here. And then on the next play, this is one they have to call. Cooper Kupp gets blatantly grabbed on a sort of sprint out play that probably would have been a touchdown. This was an obvious hold. They got to throw it. Then they threw offsetting penalties. Another play later where Whitworth held, and then there was a hit to the helmet. So they got involved there on that last drive, but it's the holding call on third down, Greg, that I think a lot of people are going to point to, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I did not like that call. Like you said, the whole game they had been calling it one way. And then for all of a sudden on that play, and the pass was behind Kupp. It wasn't even a good pass. It wasn't like the guy was desperate and tugged him, and that was the reason for the incompletion. It was, it was a poor pass. It wasn't there. Like, look, they still would have had fourth down, so we don't know what would have happened on that play, but I didn't like that call.
Killer call. It was not a good call, and ultimately, it's what helped them win the game.
So here's Zac Taylor post-game on that call.
It's tough. I thought it was a really well-officiated game, to be quite honest with you. And sometimes it comes down to moments like those. I don't have a great look at it, but I thought the officials did a nice job.
You know what? Good for him. Good for him.
Wow, you never hear that from a coach in that situation.
Good for him.
Say that.
They had a chance to win the ball game. They could have, should have won the ball game, and so he's not going to go anywhere near there, and he couldn't, because I think he has a case, but good for him.
You know what? There's something about, I thought Zac Taylor's, his whole vibe today, just the pregame, all the things he was saying about his team, it was like the moment wasn't too big, and I just liked how he conducted himself on the sideline, how he conducted himself in the interviews before the game, and how he conducted himself after the game. I just liked his disposition, I thought. Okay. That bodes well for a young coach, I thought.
I didn't like the way he conducted his offense.
Okay,
fair point.
He's one of these guys that is just, we're going to do what we're going to do, and we're going to put 5 guys out in the pass pattern, even if Joe Burrow was getting annihilated all game. Who cares what happens? I mean, at some point, max protect, screen passes, maybe take a shot once in a while, but make sure your guy is protected. And a guy who you got him killed last year as a rookie, you got him killed in this Super Bowl again. I mean, holy cow. Pray for Joe Burrow.
Okay, how about the play calling on the last drive? So they get a break on the first play of the drive. Ramsey jumps it like he's going to, take it back to the house on a pick six. Then he doesn't even look at the ball, and he whiffs on Jamar Chase. I think he gains like 17 yards. Now they're at midfield. I want to say the 49. So they're like another first down and a half, if you will. 15 yards from field goal range for their rookie quarterback, who's kicker, who's terrific. They get to a 3rd and 1. And it's not Joe Mixon.
No, it's not.
It's not Joe Burrow. Who's the backup running back?
Perrine.
Okay, Perrine. He gets stopped short. Now, I thought this was another bad call by the refs. I thought that it should have been 4th and about, a foot. It said it was a 4th and a yard. They never looked at it again, Greg. Well, first of all,
I heard a whistle at one point before the next play, and I was like, maybe they're going to take a look at it, because they did have a sideline angle where it was like,
definitely,
the ball might have touched the line. Like, aren't we going to look at it? Because they marked it a good yard short. But I hated the call going to Perrine, a guy that, you barely use. You got Joe Mixon. Put him out there, do something with Burrow, just not that.
Okay, and then on 4th and 1, shotgun, spread, and your guard's one-on-one with Aaron Donald. What do you think's going to happen?
I mean, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? That poor right guard, I don't even want to say his name because it's not fair. The poor right guard, he was an issue this whole postseason. He was an issue in this game, and that's where you look to coaching. In the critical situation, when you got to have it, you got to protect your quarterback. They didn't do it. He was short on that 3rd down, but maybe the bad spot put him in a situation when they felt they had to throw the ball there, and that's what ultimately led to a sack there.
Okay, another good story tonight. I don't know if he stuck through the very end. The tears streaming down Aaron Donald's face in the post-game interview. I thought that was a pretty poignant scene in what this game is all about. Donald spoke post-game at the podium.
Just a third down stop, and 4th down. I thought they was a run. They dropped back in the pass, and we kind of found a way to get the chop club, able to bend the edge, and found a way to get to the quarterback to make him throw a miss-error pass. I actually tried to get the ball out, but he kind of tossed it up, so that was a little nervous at first. But it was a huge play, man. It was a great few stops for the defense that we made leading up to that. I think we started taking over the game up front when we needed to. We world champs, so.
Coach McVay said he knew you were going to make that exact play, and he told everyone before you actually did it.
He told me that when I got to the sideline, but you got to be relentless, man. It's about you want something bad enough, you got to go get it. It was right in front of us. We had the lead. It was put on the defensive shoulders to make the big stop to help us be world champions. So you want one another way. All off season you work, you train. You got camp, you got long seasons just for this one game to be the last team standing. You got to give it everything you got, man. And it's about being relentless, showing up when you need to. Big time players make big time plays in big time games, and it's truly a blessing. To have the opportunity to play this game, but not just play this game, play with great teammates, great coaches. A great organization, man. Been here 8 years, a lot of ups and downs. So to see it come full circle, and be a world champion, all that hard work you put into this game, that's what it's for. So it's like finally mission complete. So it feels great.
There was
richly deserved. I sort of compare it to Reggie White when he won his championship in '96. Sorry, Ted.
Yeah, okay.
Best defensive player, best defensive lineman in the game.
3 sacks against Max Lane there at the end of the game. Yep.
Kind of long-suffering, and he gets his title. And Donald didn't have to wait as long as White, but I sort of compare the two things. So you have a thought on him?
Yeah, I just think he's worthy of just talk about how great of a player he is. I mean, Aaron Donald. I think J.J. Watt's the best player I've ever seen. He might be better. Aaron Donald, 3-time defensive MVP in his first 8 years. You talk about Warren Sapp as one of the best 3 techniques ever. He's a souped-up, higher-octane version of Warren Sapp. Some people might say he's the LT as far as just playmaking and invincibility, if you will, for this generation. He might be considered one of the best defensive players of all time.
Yeah, and I think it's rare for defensive players to make winning plays, game on the line kind of plays. That's usually a quarterback or a receiver. It's rare that a defensive player has a nose for that, but he does.
There was a pregame report, I don't know if you heard it, that Aaron Donald, this might be his last game.
Yes, so they were asking about it after the game.
Win and walk off. And, to me, to tell Aaron, don't leave. I mean, he's been one of I remember watching him at the Senior Bowl at a pit, falling in love with him then. I did a cover story on him at Sports Illustrated. He, like Ted said, he's played 8 years. He's been first-team All-Pro every year, 3-time defensive MVP. That's just legendary first ballot, no doubt stuff. And the NFL needs more of those guys, not less.
Okay. Speaking of Hall of Famers, Matthew Stafford. Let's discuss that. We'd show his numbers. First, the only one that matters is Super Bowl champion. Okay, his first 4 drives, yeah, good. Rest of the game, not so much. The 2 interceptions, none were a backbreaker. The one at the end of the first half, it's kind of a punt. It was 3rd and 14 or something. I can't remember exactly, but it was 3rd and long. He threw it in the end zone like a punt. And then the first play of the third quarter, his receiver deflects it up, doesn't help him out so much, but give me a grade for him tonight, Teddy Johnson.
I would give him, honestly, a B-. That final drive is what brought his grade up. I just thought he was very average this whole game. This system is a very, very easy system. Yeah, you can say that, at least that first interception was no big deal, but still, nonetheless, it was still 2 turnovers, and I just didn't think he was showed out that great until it was the final drive. So I'd give him a B-, but it's only because of what he was able to do on the final drive, Greg.
I would agree with that. I do think Matthew Stafford's a guy that I watched up close in Detroit when I was in Green Bay. I saw him on a winless Detroit Lions team, and for him to come to this level to win a Super Bowl, it's unbelievable what he's done. But no, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, on the other side, are you second guessing that they didn't get the ball enough to Jamar Chase? He had a couple spectacular plays. I don't have his final numbers, but it wasn't like he was fed the way, say, Cooper Kupp was fed tonight. Is that a second guess on the other side?
Maybe, a little bit. I think they wanted to stay balanced, because these offenses both, a lot of their success on offense is depending on, play action and deception off of the running game. And so I think the Bengals were trying to have a balanced attack a little bit. Maybe they could have done a little bit more, but.
This catch right here was insane.
It's sick. It was sick. His burst and his get off is insane. To beat Jalen Ramsey, Jalen's the best at what he does. And boom, boom, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Went right on by him and then one-handed catch. He's a special talent, man. He really is.
I just thought that the Bengals came out and looked like that they told Joe Burrow basically for 2 weeks, you have about 2.3 seconds to get rid of the ball. And he was just checking
the first half at least.
Yeah, the first half. And then they came out, and I even said at halftime, I said, his snap to pass was 2.25, I think, in the first half, and that would have been a career low for him. And I was like, they need to hang on to the ball. The touchdown was 3.69 seconds, but I think Taylor fell in love with that a little bit too much. And once they grabbed the lead, they should have brought the reins back in. He couldn't strike a good balance with their passing.
Okay, a little bit more on Burrow coming up, but just give me a quick thought on him. What would your grade be for Joe Burrow?
Joe, I would say probably like a C. I thought he was very average. Yeah, he was very much average today. I mean, you could see he's a special talent, and he made some great plays. But overall, at the end of the day, Michael, it was more of an average kind of performance for him.
Yeah, I just don't think he ever felt comfortable behind that offensive line. He couldn't get enough time to go deep. He kept checking down really early and going to flats for like negative yards. I mean, he missed some open stuff that was there. I thought he played average. I did not think he was ready for this moment.